All right. Dave, I'll pass it to you a little bit and we could take it away with the tip of the week.
Yeah, so one of the pretty major pain points for a lot of new users who had no experience with web design or web development was when it came to creating static web pages or landing pages. It was relatively easy to add some basic text and images, but to actually get it stylized and looking really nice, it was difficult to do without knowing any HTML or CSS. So with some of the recent updates we've done to the text editor, it's now easier than ever to build a really good looking static web page utilizing some of the new tools that we've implemented into the text editor, as well as a new table feature that allows you to insert tables into static web pages. This might sound simple, but it can really open up the doorways for you in terms of the possibilities that you have when creating static web pages now.
Yeah, and actually, David set up a page for us, and I'm going to help recreate that page. I think it's better to just show you guys what we're referring to, and then we can cover some how-to steps on how to achieve this type of aesthetic. We did make slides, so there's a hero section that you can have to your pages. You can create rows with several blocks of elements, nicely lined up and perfectly aligned. You can have text side by side with imagery. You can add forms to your pages very nicely. And again, you can have images there on the left or right. You can add complementary text or bullets or whatever you need as well. And then you can you can get a little more creative and have two different elements. We have the table with the two columns on top. We stretched the text width a bit wider. And then separately, we added a join button directly below that table. So you can mix and match these elements to create modules that present really well to the visitors of your sites. So Dave, tell us about this kind of example page we created and some of the elements on it, and then we can go into recreating them.
Yeah, so like I mentioned, this is just a static web page. A static web page can be used as a landing page if you're directing ads to it. It could be used as just a general information page that you link to maybe in the main menu of your website, maybe provide some additional information about your website, what you offer, some benefits about the membership that you provide. So this, at first glance, looks like it may be a home page. There's a new tool that allows you to create a hero section, which is this big top area at the top of the page with a big image that takes up the full width and then the text on top of it. We covered it in webinar, I believe it was 78, was where we covered this this update. But so that's on the page. You can create it really easily. There's a tool in the right-hand sidebar when you're editing static web pages. So that's there for you to create that element. And then farther on down that page, we utilize tables to actually add additional information and stylize it pretty nicely in an aesthetically pleasing way. So this first table that we have, it's a really simple table of one row with 3 columns. And in each column, we have an icon as well as some additional text. So this is a great way to feature some benefits of your website that you provide. Below that, we have some image side by side with the text. It sounds and it looks pretty simple, but it was one of those things that was somewhat difficult to achieve before, again, if you didn't know HTML or CSS. Now with the new updates that we've implemented into the text editor, it's easier than ever to achieve that without needing to know any code. Below that, similar concept, but we've embedded a form into this page. So one of the cool things is you can embed any form or widget into any of the static web pages that you have on your site. We'll show how to do that a little later on, but that's a great way to attract some additional information from either just new website visitors or maybe your members as well, depending on what the purpose of the page is. Below that, we just have, again, some simple text side by side with an image, as well as a join now button. So this doesn't necessarily need to be a join now button. It could be a call to action for anything, whether it's downloading a PDF that you're providing for free, a registration button to get new people to register, a button to sign up for your newsletter. It can really be used for anything, but all of this was done without knowing any code, whether that's HTML or CSS. It's all done through the front end text editor.
And I think the easiest way to kind of cover this is just kind of recreate this page with you guys and show you what we've done here. Obviously, the tool, I think it's a very simple tool, but again, it's a very high value what it can deliver with regards to a layout like this. And if you combine this with, high quality images or icons, it'll just create a much more professional look and feel on your site if you're trying to create landing pages. So yeah, David did mention we did cover how to create this hero section in webinar 78. It's at 7 minutes and 11 seconds on how to create the hero section. So I don't want to spend too much time on that. But Dave, let's go into the admin area here. And we'll go under edit web pages. And we created this sample page here about sample. And let's see what we've done here. So we can see the editor here. We have our first row of 3 features listed, some text with an icon on the right, some image on the left, and then some text. And you'll notice here we're using the form shortcode. So it's form equals contact form, and I'll show you guys where I grabbed that. And in addition, there's another one. This is some text with a smaller image here. So what's really nice is you can add images. You could be even, or you can have a larger image with smaller text. So we'll cover some of this stuff here today. The hero section options are here on the right-hand side. So it'll take your title, and then you can enable the hero section. I'll just cover some basic things. You can choose your font size, colors, boldness, alignment, the text width, like how much of the surface of the image it's going to cover. I usually think 50% is nice. Some additional text, and of course the image that we're going to be using here. Here's a tip for everyone. Sometimes we forget about this. Try to add top padding and bottom padding to this. It will allow, well, it depends on really the aesthetic you're looking for, but it will, in my opinion, if you're using a nice image, it's nice to show as much of that nice image as possible, or you can go the opposite way and make the padding as small as you need it to if you're just looking for a very slim banner at the top of the page. But this is where you'll control the hero section here in the right-hand side. All right, Dave, so let's just do something simple. Let's actually recreate this, David, but maybe we'll do 4 items in a row. So this is what's new here, everyone, is this insert table icon. So we can click on insert table, and then we can choose, I'll just choose a 1x4. So I like to work with 1 row at a time, just a lot easier. If I need another row, usually I'll just create a new table for it, but it just depends on your preference. So first thing we want to do is let's add the image. So we have these images here. You can click on the insert image link here and choose from your gallery, and you can choose some things you like. Personally, what I like to do is I actually like to click on the blue upload image thing. If you have a lot of images on your site, when you go this way, you can actually filter to search the image by its name. In this case, we don't have too many images, but if you did, I usually like this method. And what you can do is right click on the image, copy the URL. Now that I've gotten it, I will close this. And what you can do instead is then click here and just put the URL here and insert it. So we have an image here now. So just depends what you're comfortable, what method you're comfortable grabbing the image. And then what's really nice with the images is you can set like a maximum width. You don't want it too big. So Dave, we'll set this one to 100 pixels and we'll just update it. So just to save time, I'll use the same image, but you can certainly repeat this with different images. So we can copy this here and here and here and here. And with these, you just want to make sure that if there's extra spaces underneath the image, if you want them to line up, just to check that. So that's kind of like something you want to check for if they're not lining up. Because what it's doing is there is an alignment, like vertical alignment. So it could be vertically aligned bottom or top. That's going to be important when we start adding text. In this case, also, I want this one to be centered. So we have alignment options here. So we could center this image. So now we have our images centered, and I'll add some text. I'll just copy what I had before. This is I'll put benefit. And what we can do, David, is something nice. We can just make the font size bigger here. And again, we can, I guess we could just copy everything here. And if it's finicky, again, just look for those extra spaces that are in different places. I guess I copied the image when I clicked copy. So I'll just delete this and go there, and we can delete this. So let's actually just save the changes here, David, and give this a look. So that's nice. We have it there. If we need to add space on top, we can probably do that, put it right above the image. Okay, and we can save the changes. Okay, great. So in this example, we've put 4 images. Now, these could be testimonials. They could be benefits for joining your site. They could be lots of different things. So you guys can decide what you would want to use this stuff for. All right. Now, this is a pretty common one. It's basically text with an image on the right or left-hand side. This is probably one of the simpler ones to recreate. And let's scroll down here, and we can have some fun just recreating this one. So let's click on table. And this one, we're just going to do a 1x2. And I'll just copy this image here since I have it, but you can go and use the method that you're comfortable with adding an image to here. So we've added the image, and then we can add text. So this is titled text about joining our site. And I want this to be a title, so I can choose the paragraph here, and we'll do heading 2. And we'll go to the next line, and this can be some additional text. Just repeat this a couple times. And we'll do this in 2 paragraphs. Okay, let's save that. So this is like a perfect 50-50 split here. I didn't adjust the width in the middle. Okay, and let's refresh. This is the new one I've added here. This is some text about joining our site. And now we have a 50-50 split. What's really nice is when you have the picture, the image on the right, and then if you scroll down the next blurb, the image is on the left, and you do that about 3 or 4 times. It's really nice for highlighting the message you're trying to get across about a certain feature or a benefit that the landing page is addressing. And in this example, let's actually just make this font size a bit larger. That's what the back button is for. Okay, let's go back to a large font and bold. That's what we want. Okay, very nice. Okay, now let me show you one more thing about the text alignment in these cells. So right now this is vertically aligned middle, but let me just show you if we align it to the top, what that does. Because we can see here it's perfectly in the middle with the image. And if we refresh this, now it's kind of, the text starts at the top of the image. So again, you can decide where you want to position an image or text relative to each other when you have columns side by side. Okay, let's go to this one, which I think is super important if you're creating a landing page, which is the form. So in this case, it's going to follow the same model. And actually, I'm not going to do much change. Let's keep this that I created here. And what I'm going to do instead is copy this text and put it under the image here. Now let's go grab a form and put it here. So how do we insert a form here? But let's say we wanted to do our contact us form. So easy thing to do is go to your form manager, and you'll have some default forms there. So you can look for a website contact us form. So let's see here, and whether you have it customized or not. But basically what you want to take is the system name. So system name is contact form. And I can just come here and open bracket form equals contact form. Just make sure there's no, and then close the bracket. And this will now render the website's contact form there. So let's go ahead and save those changes. So that will replace this one here. Great. So now we have a title, we have an image, we have the additional text underneath it. So these could be, they can even be bullet points. It doesn't have to be a paragraph. So really you have a lot of control over how you want this to display. And I think you can even do one more thing. Let me check it out here. I think you can actually, if we want to fill this cell with a background color, let's just put a light gray. Let's see what that looks like. So you can actually fill the cells with different colors using the cell background color. There. So again, for beginners, if you're not going to go into the HTML and the code with the do CSS stuff, this is a quick and easy way to kind of just create some elements on a landing page for yourself.
I think a good way to think about the text editor now is that previously it was just a very basic text editor. Now with some of the additional tools we've added, it works very much the same way as something like Microsoft Word or Google Docs with the additional color tools, the columns, everything like that. So it's a lot easier now to format pages nicely.
Yeah, I mean, in my opinion, I think these are some really beautiful things to do. Probably if you play around with it more, you'll get more comfortable with it and you'll be able to align things a bit easier. The last one here, if we scroll down, some text with an image here and then the join button. Let's actually recreate this one, David, altogether. It should be pretty quick as well. So if we scroll down here, okay, so this is the module we had. So again, this was, let me just add some spaces here. Again, you can do a lot with just two columns with text or image, text on the left, image on the right. Let's actually reverse this. Let's copy this image here again. And let's actually just copy this text here. Pop it in here. Okay, great. So this is an example where we actually dragged the cell to the left, which shrunk the image and gave a little bit more weight to, more width to the text. So maybe you don't need a large image, you just need a small graphic there. And obviously it'll extend it'll give more width to the text. So you're going to have less lines of characters. So, and then what we did for the join button is, we really didn't want to code a button. So we just Googled or went to a site and we just looked for a join button icon. And we found this one and uploaded it to our images. So what we can do is I'll just grab it here from the images on this one. So we have the join button and then I centered it. And so this is just an image basically. And then you can link it to wherever you want. Maybe you want to link it to your join page or directly to a checkout page. And let me go ahead and insert that link. And actually, let me make that, that link is, let me edit the link. I want to open it in a new tab. So when they click on it, they go to a new page, new tab. And if we refresh this, so here, this is the new one we created with the image on the left and a blurb of text and an action button here. And again, we can resize the images very easily. You just drag them. So if we wanted to make this larger or smaller, we could certainly do so. I wouldn't recommend extending it larger than the actual size of the image because then it can start showing distorted or blurry. But smaller than the size, than its actual size, actually gives you a crisper look on some displays. So that's sometimes a good thing to do as well. And this is now available to you guys. We're going to let it run in the admin text editor just so we can get some feedback, see if there's any quirks we need to work out. And then we'll release it on the front end. So when you're creating a blog article or an event or coupon or some type of post that you're publishing on the front end of your site, you'll also have that table editor available so you can do things similar to this with respect to organizing content in rows.